Hello, everybody. It's day 4 of 23C3. This is Saw 1. It is 12:45. Just a reminder to everyone to either turn off or silence your cell phones during the presentation. If you have questions during the presentation, please queue up at either of the 2 microphone stands and ask your question into the microphone. Our next presentation is on the role of podcasting in journalism. So I present to you Bicycle Mark.
Good morning. I was the last guy giving out because it was full, you know? I'm giving out stuff. Yeah, I heard that. Someone in the hallway asked. No. I'm not giving out anything except wisdom, and you can't put a price tag on that. Until today. So let's see. No one here, or a handful of people, or they've never told me, or they never came up to me, no one here has ever heard of me. That's kind of cool. Or cruel, or hurtful. But that's okay, because that comes with the job. And that job, I've given it a name, and nobody likes the name. We called it pod journalism. Let me tell you about pod journalism. No. It's been banned by Wikipedia. Are you sitting here, Wikipedia? No, it's some editors at Wikipedia have banned pod journalism, but it doesn't matter. Because the name, in fact, doesn't matter. What it is matters more, and what we do with it. So I'm a pod journalist. I call myself Bicycle Mark. We don't need to get into why I'm Bicycle Mark. It's a boring story and involves bicycles. And then that was when I was in New Jersey, and in New Jersey, no one's ever heard of a bicycle anymore. They use the 4-wheel engine kind. And then I moved to Portugal. I'm Portuguese too. You just can't hear it in my accent. And I moved to Portugal, and nobody had a bicycle there either, because in Lisbon, everybody who had a bicycle is dead. Natural causes. Is that even funny? Thank you. Thank you. And then I moved to Amsterdam, and I said, oh, you know, I already had the domain name, and I had the 1,000 emails with the same name. And someone goes, so what's your thing? Bicycle Mark? And I'm like, yeah, I like bicycles. And I'm in Amsterdam, so the guy's like, yeah. But so what? I stuck to the name. And I didn't know when I first started writing a blog under that name, I didn't know what I was doing. Like a lot of us who start off in what we're interested in, whatever it is, we don't always know what we're doing. We're just fiddling around, like everybody out there, I think, sometimes. Not a bad thing. I was just fiddling around. I had gone to school for journalism, and I noticed very quickly, both out of my own normal paranoias and lack of whatever, self-confidence. It's a camera. Oh, there's a camera. I noticed that it was going to be really hard, to put it in real boring terms, to get into a newspaper because I was a college student and I was too nice and I wasn't standing at that time in a hotbed of whatever, you know, be it a war zone or some kind of struggle. So I didn't feel like I could get in, you know, with newspapers, and I thought, like a lot of people, let me go on the internet, this was like 90-something, and I'll write my own news. And 10 people came to read. I was very excited. Those 10 people still read, I swear. And I used the name Bicycle Mark, and I decided I would write my own sort of news stories, and so who hasn't done that, you know? What's the big deal, right? So I got to make this cooler, so I'll build up to it. In 2004, let's fast forward to 2004. I was born, and then it was 2004. And poof, I'm 24 years old at that time. You remember when you were 24? You are 24. You're never 24. In 2004, you know, you may have heard the story, maybe you haven't. I won't give you the history of podcasting per se, but you know, Adam Curry, Dave Weiner, they had a baby. No one knows. I'm sorry. No, actually, I know Adam, so I can say that. I can't. And they created the script, blah, 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 so that we can have audio and RSS. Isn't that exciting? They're excited. They're not looking. Or they're watching the feed. And so they create the script so that people like me and people like you can do podcasting. Now, you know what that means. That means creating an MP3 and saying whatever the hell you want. Some people like to talk about what they had for breakfast. I had muesli, soy milk. It's very good. A little different in Germany, but I'm figuring it out. And some people decided that they would specialize in things. They would do a podcast about cooking. Whatever it was, whatever your interest, you'd do a podcast. You've all heard this. I'm not teaching anything new. My thing, of course, just like the days when I had my 10 readers, I wanted to do some kind of news. I wanted to, again, I couldn't afford, or I was too scared, whatever. I couldn't afford to go over to Afghanistan. It's hard to get in there these days anyway. I didn't want to work for the military, although they want me to work for them. They want anyone to work for them. Anyone. I mean, anyway, it's not funny. Not funny. Military, no. Didn't laugh at military. And I got to move on from all the military jokes. So I started a podcast at that time from Amsterdam, which was cool because there weren't so many in 2004, which means I could have talked about anything and all these people came to listen. It was amazing. You know, isn't it? I don't know if anybody notices with the internet, but what was really new and cool like 10 years ago, innovative, is completely boring. So in 2004, way back, I went to a market and I started walking around and recording the sounds of the market in Amsterdam. And I got tons of email. That's so cool, man, to hear the sounds. Now, nobody gives a shit, you know. Audio of a market. But at that time, I'm telling you, those were the glory days. Then they invented the combustion engine. 2004? No, that was 2005. You know your history? Okay, so let's go into this, because I got to use this thing for the people who don't want to look at this thing. I'll press a button. I said it wrong, so I don't know how much time I'm taking. So somebody go like, when I'm... I want to give you the highlights because that's a proper way to give a presentation. I was trained in presenting, and then I promptly forgot everything that I was taught. So I know you're supposed to do this. So this is what I'm going to tell you today. Highlights. And I put that picture because that was one of the most funny pictures of my life. It's not in my presentation for any other reason other than that's so funny. Okay, media. I want to talk about the media landscape that led to, you know, besides the fact that we can do things on the internet, myself, I ask, and I've noticed how things came about, why. And when it comes to media, I want to talk about the media landscape a little, not to bore you too much, just bore you enough to get you. I want to talk about the media landscape before that led to the need for this type of media, this type of, I call it a void, whatever, a black hole of information. Because there was a reason, according to me, there was a reason that things like podcasts, blogs, video blogs came forward. It wasn't only because we could. There's something larger going on. I'll show you. And now the musical. No. That would be cool. I'll work on it. Dancers, me. So I'm going to define pod journalism so that you can put it in Wikipedia. I'm banned from Wikipedia. It's so fucked up. Are you banned too? Nobody else is banned. No, everybody's banned. It's okay. I got issues. That's clear from this presentation, you know. I'll talk about examples because, you know, I could say how cool it is and all the cool things you can do and why it's important for journalism, for reporting what's going on. And people will say, so what? I've never seen anything good happen. I'll give you some real examples. There's some out there. They're fun. And eventually I'll talk about pitfalls, the dangers that I face and the dangers that any of us face, any of us who want to use podcasting and video blogging. I'm going to put those two in the same category, especially audio and video, for journalism. You know, there's a huge list of pitfalls and shit that you can step in. I will show you the shit. And of course, the future, everybody likes to talk about that. I'll tell you about my future house, kids, little bicycle, Mark. All right, Jesus Christ, third slide, it took me this long. I call it the media wasteland. I made that up last night. Prior to, let's say, the late 90s, I'm not going to be accurate, I'm not going to give you factoids that you can go check up and then say I was wrong. No, I'll be vague. Late 90s, we have this media landscape, and I'm talking about United States, but also Europe, and a lot of these things were repeated in places like Brazil and South America. We had a media wasteland, and what I mean by media wasteland is there was a decline from the good old days when everybody got their newspaper either to their house in the morning, which I heard is still big in Germany, pretty cool, not big in the US. You had this declining media where people no longer read the newspaper, people didn't subscribe to it anymore, people didn't watch as much television news anymore, for a number of reasons. But there was a drop-off from the height when media was like, you know, when that channel, that CNN was the #1 place. There was a time. Or before that, I mean, in the US, all these networks. So late 90s, okay? Let's start there. Yeah. I said that. I said that too. I'm so good. Okay, so these are my symptoms for a sick media, right? I put like 3. Anyway, you have this consolidation. And by consolidation, I mean, you know, things eating each other and packing smaller, right? And I'm talking about media companies. So if you flip through the channels anywhere in the world nowadays, just because you go from channel 3 to 4, I'm pointing out the obvious, doesn't mean you're going to a different company. You could have 4 channels like I think we do. I live in the Netherlands, and one company seems to own like every channel. They just give you different flavors of the same shit. So you have a situation where, in late 90s especially, it had been going on for decades. Media companies are buying other media companies. Sometimes they're changing the name, sometimes they're changing the logo, but it's still the same shit. And as a result, when you do that, it's a corporate strategy. In a way, I'm talking about the corporate media, of course. And when you do that, you cut staff, of course, because you want to make more profit. So you buy up the offices in Philadelphia, you're based in New York, you go, hey, it's only an hour between offices. No more Philly office. And you journalists, you can go fuck off. And everybody else will get your news from New York. And so now you in Philly no longer get news from Philly, or if someone comes down from New York, maybe, or you hire a freelancer, which is what we all are, probably. You cut investment. I don't know if it comes later, but I'm going to do it now. Investigative reporting. You know, there used to be these guys, I think, because I wasn't alive. But I like to imagine, based on film, I'm doing this is a hat and a trench coat and a press thing in their hat, which made it very obvious. And they would go around and dig up news. And they would take time. It was an investigative reporter. It wasn't always glamorous, although sometimes, you know, cool with the girls and the guns. And I saw a movie. But it was an expensive thing because stories would take a couple of weeks. You didn't know. As an editor, you'd be like, hey, when's that story coming out about that crazy CCC conference? And you'd say, it's not ready yet. You know, I'm still researching one extra piece. Have to find Tim. Tim, is he here? No. So one of the things that's been cut over the years is investigative reporting. No, that's too expensive. Yeah, you want to go find the facts, sure, and you want to dig up some scandal, but we don't really have time or money for that, so don't do that. And of course, that's one of the greatest things we have in journalism, one of the greatest tools for anybody who really wants to know what is underneath what we see. And we all love that. That's why I'm at this conference. I don't go to any other conference, ever. Ever. Thank you. And the other thing that, of course, happens, and we see this, I put Bertelsmann, I mean, I think they're German, but who the hell knows, because they own so much. And News Corp, I mean, Rupert Murdoch owns News Corp. He's not even Australian anymore. I think he decided to be American, he got his card, and he hangs out with Hillary Clinton. Borders don't matter anymore. You know, these news corporations are no longer limited. They don't have a